Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday, the 9th day of July 2025. I hope you're safe and healthy today. I hope your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field or work in health, along with first responders who every day are doing their best to save, rescue, and comfort lives. Those also that pick up garbage, keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Those that are helping people that are victims of prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on all the perpetrators, on all the profiteers, and on all the perverts that create the demand that cause these supplies to exist. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. More than 700,000 men, women, children, families, senior citizens, and military veterans homeless in the United States of America. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. So yesterday, we got the anticipated opening introductory press conference of Mike Brown. I am very pleased with what I saw yesterday. The reason is, to me, in New York, one of the things you don't want to do, one of the things that happened, if anybody's paying attention, and unfortunately very few people are, but the media and the Knicks ask questions with the intent of not just getting any insights, but creating drama. And Mike Brown deftly avoided all the drama bombs that were tossed at him, which is good because he's going to get a lot of that in New York. Tom Thibodeau did it also. Thibodeau did it better than any coach I'd ever seen in New York, except Jeff Van Gundy maybe. But also, I have to say, he's going to open up cans of worms the way he handles his players. That is Mike Brown. Thibodeau never publicly criticized a player, even when it was obvious the player wasn't doing well. There were players like Julius, RJ, when you would say, man, he needs to say something to this guy, and he just wouldn't do it publicly. The only time you publicly saw Tibbs get upset at a rotation player, now he would publicly get upset at rookies and youngins, but he would never do anything like that to his vets. It was when the time Josh Hart and him got into it, which I found was very cool on the sidelines. He was barking at Hart, Hart was barking at him, and they got done with it and they moved on. Because Tibbs knows Hart, Hart knows Tibbs, and they love each other, and they're all wanting to win. So that was the exception. But generally, because of the drama, and even that was on all the internet, and everybody was talking about the Knicks locker room is in a mess just from that. That's how stupid and idiotic things could get. So Brown is going to have that issue because he's going to publicly call out players. If you see Karl Anthony Towns missing defensive assignments, it won't just be OG on the sidelines telling him. Brown's going to tell him. Now, that's a double-edged sword. Like I said, you're going to hear, and from this we can know right now, you're going to hear newspapers, content creators, and idiots, all which will be telling us how bad the locker room is under Brown. It's going to be BS. Because, number one, Brown is talking to all the players now, and you better believe he had conversations with Cat. Number two, Jalen Brunson's not going to have it. That's why you have a Jalen Brunson. Not only is he the clutch player of the year, but his maturity level and IQ level and desire to win are at the utmost highest point of a player you want in that position. Okay, so he ultimately, more than anything, as I always say, don't bet against Jalen Brunson because he takes that personal, right? And so he will beat you. And so he's not going to have a whole bunch of whining, just like you saw when OG Anunoby had a problem with Karl Anthony Towns missing defensive assignments, and he let Karl Anthony Towns know that. Towns started getting fresh with him and talking. Brunson came over and told Towns, shut up. And that was the end of it. And when they got up from that huddle, You see Towns patting OG on the backside because it's all good. We move on. Brunson is not going to have it. Brunson is the key here. He's going to set the tone in the locker room. And Hart, in their I saw a little short clip where Hart was imitating Brunson. But what he did, Hart is probably, in my opinion, in all my 50 plus years of watching basketball, he is the funniest guy I've seen in an interview. And so he imitated Brunson, but what he was saying is he was imitating Brunson, saying, whatever coach says, we got to do it because coach is right. That's going to be Brunson's attitude. Okay? So any issues, I'm just saying all that to say, I'm heading y'all off at the pass now. Don't buy into all the BS, which some of y'all just love to buy into. Some of y'all just need to watch novellas, man, because y'all just drama. But anyway, we don't want drama in Knicks Nation. Drama doesn't help us win. Calmness, collaboration helps us win. Clear thinking helps us win. Drama don't help us win. And if you're really a Knicks fan, I mean, it's like, I hear people say, I'm a Knicks fan. BS. And let me tell you why. That's like, you know what's going on right now, real quick? A dude will rape and kill somebody, right? Then stand up in court and say, I'm sorry I did this because that's not who I am. That's the thing. If you did it, it is who you are. You a rapist and a murderer. Well, that was just one incident, that's not who I am. If you criticize in every move the Knicks make, if you're never satisfied, always complaining and whining, you're not a fan. No matter what you say. Because your actions show you're not a fan. You don't support the team. Okay? Period. So, let's cut that mess off at the pass now, because that's going to happen. Secondly, someone asked me, who do I think the Knicks should get as the assistant coach? And they named Borrego, Norrie, and Darvin Ham. This is one of the annoying things. I don't recall. Can somebody show me the article where Darvin Ham got an interview with the Knicks? Because I didn't see it. I didn't see Begley say, Darvin Ham's been invited for an interview. And if they're not invited to an interview and you've already had 4 coaches, namely Jenkins, Brown, Norrie, and Borrego, and Dawn Staley, that did get interviews, your pool of coaches is right there. You don't need to be naming somebody that's outside the pool. And anybody that does, you should know right now they're full of crap and you shouldn't trust anything they write. But no, some of y'all love the drama. But anyway, what I want is irrelevant. Begley has already reported they want James Borrego. And somebody loves it. There's always somebody, well, James Borrego's on contract. I'm sure they know that. And I'm sure they're talking to the Pelicans about compensation. Because why? Because Brown wants Borrego. Now, this is good. In fact, the Knicks really can't lose here. See, this is what I like. I love the Don making checkmate type moves where you can't lose. Like the way he's got the roster set up and where he's got the summer league set up. You can't lose. Okay? All you're going to do is get a good player that wants to win and wants to play and wants to show it and prove it. You can't lose. Okay? I said the only way the Knicks lose is injuries. If they can avoid injuries, they ain't good. They're going to be good. But with respect to the coach, so you got Borrego, which is the offensive genius, apparently. I didn't know. But from what I've been reading from Begley and others, he's an offensive mind. And Brown wants him because Brown, from now that I have been doing more research on Brown, more than just his record, which I showed already, his record as a head coach defensively hasn't been great. He had 2 good years in Cleveland, as a defensive coach. I mean, as a head coach with a good defense. He had more years as an offensive coach. He was number 1 in the league offensively his first year in Sacramento. But what I've learned from all this is where his focus can be. He can be a defensive coach if he's focused on being a defensive coach. It's difficult for him to focus on two things, and that's not unusual. That's why you have associate head coaches. Tom Thibodeau really never utilized that in terms of Johnny Bryant being the associate head coach. He utilized more Rick Brunson and than any of the coaches, and we know why, because Rick Brunson and him go back, more than 30 years. They go back a long way. But when we talked about collaboration a couple of days ago, Brown kept mentioning that in his press conference. And he is going to have an assistant that he leans on. So if he got a Borrego, you can expect Borrego's offense to be what's running, and you can expect Brown to focus on the defensive side of the basketball, which is going to be very good, okay? Because he's got a lot of talent to work with on that side of the ball. So Borrego would probably be the guy, unless the Pelicans are so staunch against stopping Borrego from coming to New York that they put the kibosh on it. I have never heard of a team in the NBA stopping an assistant coach from leaving because they're under contract. I've never seen that in all my years. And if you have, give me an example, because I've never seen an NBA team stop an assistant coach. And why? Because assistant coaches generally want to be head coaches. And so if an assistant's taking a job with a specific team, it's more than just a paycheck. They're looking for more experience, more knowledge, and maybe a head coaching opportunity down the road. Borrego's already been a head coach, in Charlotte. So this would come into New York with Brown would create a success that could help him possibly be a head coach in the future. So, and then if Brown gets canned, you got Borrego right there. So I can't see the Pelicans stopping him from coming to New York if that's what he wants to do, even if he's under contract. So based on what I'm reading from Begley especially, I'm going to look and say Borrego going to be the assistant. He's going to be and in fact, he's going to be the associate head coach because he's going to be running the offense. Brown's going to be running the defense. And that gets me excited because now Brown's acumen on the defensive side going to be his focus. And I really believe he's going to be really good at that when he's focused on it, and I believe he will be. One thing I got from him yesterday, overall, more than any answer he gave, was his attitude. He is focused. He understands the task at hand. He understands and accepts and embraces the challenge of winning a championship in New York. And so one thing I want first is a guy that knows what the hell he's doing. I wasn't happy, for example, with Fizdale because he didn't know what the hell he was doing. I wasn't happy with Hornacek because Hornacek knew what he was doing, but he was kissing Phil Jackson's behind with that triangle and messing himself up because that wasn't what he wanted to do. He just wanted the job. No, Brown and Leon and Wes are on the same page. And Brown is now talking to the players and infusing in the players what the script is. And they're going to move forward together. The only issue I see that's possible is Cat. Okay? Say what you want. Cat is a tremendous talent. Like I said, there's no 5 in the league that can guard him. He's been a tremendous talent since he was a teenager in the Dominican Republic. And he knows, how to play the game. But, and somebody mentioned this too. The players didn't like Tibbs. You can't, if you want to win a chip, screw what the players want. That's what it comes down to. There's been many great players that have never won a championship because of their own attitudes, like Charles Barkley. Okay? I remember Barkley was in Houston. And you had Scottie Pippen telling him he needed to get in shape. In fact, Scottie Pippen said he needed to get his fat ass in shape. And he barked at that, and Houston never fulfilled it. And he had the same thing coming out of Auburn. They called him the round mound of meat rebound because he was fat. He would eat 2 or 3 pizzas at a time. And then he got, 1 year he got serious, hired a personal trainer, hired a dietitian, and became MVP. And then that carried over to when he went to Phoenix, and they almost won it against Bulls in them. But it didn't last. It didn't last. It wasn't sustainable. So the attitude of great players and players in general can cost you short-circuit your dreams of a championship. Okay? Bringing me back to Cat. I'm going to tell you right now, Brown ain't going to let him slide. He is not. And so when Cat misses a defensive assignment, you're going to see Brown waiting on that sideline, calling timeout, and getting in his ass. How Cat responds to that is going to tell us how far we could go. And I'm hoping that he responds well, that he just takes that criticism, shuts his mouth, sucks it up, and plays ball. When Cat starts whining at the refs or Hart starts whining at the refs too much, Brown gonna get in their ass. This is good if they respond right. Now Hart, I don't have any doubt. Josh Hart played for Jay Wright. Jay Wright was foot in your ass type of coach in college. And Josh Hart is like that. So when Brown tells Hart, shut up, he will shut up. Cat, I don't know. And I'm hoping Cat responds well. That's really, so what we're saying here is the attitude of Cat is going to determine how far the Knicks go this year in that championship hunt. If he has a great attitude, we're going to be good. If he starts to have pouty attitude, this is going to be shaky. It's going to be shaky. Okay? So that's what we got to find out. Brown is the right guy for it, though. Brown is the right guy. Because you got to put, you know what? When you got to cut and you got pus in it, you got to squeeze it out. So you don't cause an infection. Brown to do it. So I'm glad we got him. That's what I liked yesterday overall. And he's a communicator, which means, like I said, he's going to be letting you know exactly where you stand. He's going to tell you exactly what your role is. And he's going to expect you to exactly perform it. Oh, this is going to be good, y'all. This is going to be very good. So I'm expecting, I would say today is the 9th of July. I'm expecting by the end of next week at the latest that they named James Borrego as the associate head coach of the New York Knicks. So you're talking about Brown-Borrego right now. That's what you're dealing with. And then they're going to get to work. They're going to get to work. He's already looking at film. I'm telling you right now, Brown was probably looking at film before he even got hired. When he was in the interview process, he probably was already studying film of the Knicks, studying strategies, offensive strategies, defensive strategies. He's going to be prepared. Okay, that is what you want. A guy that knows what the hell he's doing, got a plan, and gonna follow through with it. That's Mike Brown. Okay, so I'm happy. I'm on board. And that reminds me too. Listen, and the reason I brought up what I want versus what the Knicks gonna do is a lot of y'all do this. I don't want this and I want to see that. And then when you don't get what you're thinking you should see, you start criticizing the team the whole year. I'm learning this about some of y'all. So in other words, if you want to see somebody play more minutes, you want to see Beauchamp play and he don't play, then you're going to be, we should have brought back Beauchamp. We could have had Beauchamp. I'm not hearing that this year. I'm not trying to hear that. The Knicks got the coaching staff, the management that we ain't had in ever since we had Red Holtzman on the sideline. Whatever decision they make it. And if you're a fan, just shut up and support it. This is the year for us to do this thing, y'all. We trying to get this check. Freak all that. Mother flock what you want. What I want is a chip. Let's get this done. Y'all enjoy your Wednesday. So